So let's talk about how to increase profitability. Now, we've talked about different ways to increase sales. And by increasing sales, we would hope that would increase the profitability. So let's talk about some of the very specific things on how you can do to increase profitability. So let's just distill it down to a very simple conversation. Without sales, there are no profits. There's only costs. Therefore, the way to control those costs is to create sales. And sales creates profitability. So if your store has multiple kinds of products, then you probably have multiple markups on different products. If you're just putting the same markup on everything, you're losing opportunity to charge more on certain items, and you're losing an opportunity to sell more by pricing less on others. So it's really important to think about how you're going to price individual categories of products. Doing a blanket market on everything you get is, quite frankly, and unfortunately I'll say this, a lazy way to price your products. So how do you price it then? Well, you see what your cost is. Maybe you go into some of the other stores in your neighborhood that are similar to yours and see how they're pricing things. And start spending a little time homework on what the market is doing outside your store. But it's important that we talk about this profitability from a standpoint of how to look at it from a financial basis. Now hopefully you have a POS system that tracks your sales. If you don't, you should, because that's how you can control your inventories, how you can see what your sales are doing, what doesn't sell, what does sell, things aren't selling, to make sure you don't reorder it, and things that are selling, maybe you do more of those items. So it is important to have a POS system, and Equitable Growth Solutions has a whole program in talking to you about how POS can work in your store, and be sure to contact them as well if you want more information. Now, the other thing is, of course, we talked about the weighted average. Now we can talk about the average. And the average is the example that I gave to you before, which is everything's at a 50% margin, therefore my total sales, I'll go do 50% and that's what I should get. But that is not the right way to do it. You need to make sure that you can make more margin on certain items. Remember we talked about clip strips. Those items you can make more than 50%. Other items, maybe in produce, you can make even more if it's a lime or a lemon or something like that. But you have to think through and spend the time as to what you can charge for individual product categories. Now I have lots of ideas here, and certainly Equitable Growth Solutions can probably be more than happy to talk to you about lots of these ideas. But certain departments can make more money. Now let's talk about cigarettes, for example. Cigarettes. What are you making on cigarettes? 10%? 8%? You're not making very much. So why would you promote those? Why would you advertise those? Why would you do anything other than put those on the side and promote the items that you're making margins on? Put signage up as we talk. Make it interruptive so that they can see it. Put it by the cashier and sell them and get their attention and sell that. High profit items, get people to know you have them. So, as I mentioned before, it is important to go to other stores and see what they're doing. And don't be afraid to make more profit on some items. And also don't be afraid to lower prices so you can move some volume. That's really important. Now, some of the ways that you can increase your sales to increase your profitability is talk to truck drivers. They're delivering to all these different stores. And you can ask them, hey, what's selling a lot? What are you delivering a lot of? They may tell you about some products your competitors are carrying that you're not. So truck drivers are a great source of information. Sales reps tend to want you to buy what they're going to sell you. That's why they're called sales reps. So they do have an agenda. But to support them in a way that we should, sales reps want you to buy things that they know you're going to buy again. So they don't want to sell you product that isn't selling. But they have an agenda, and they get commissions sometimes from these manufacturers if they can sell more of that product. But truck drivers, they have no agenda. They'll tell you what's out there and what's selling. It's a great way to find out about more information. Now, the other side of profitability, of course, is managing costs. And we're not going to get too far into costs, but obviously one of the great costs is labor. And we all understand that labor's gotten very expensive, and rents are an expense. So with labor, it's really important that you manage it closely. It's really important that you manage it closely. And I think that there's a saying that increasing sales will cover increasing costs. Well, there's some truth to that, as long as your costs don't increase faster than the sales. But the more you can sell, the more money you're going to get, and the more money you're going to get, the more profit you have, and the more profit you have, you're going to be able to cover your costs and also make some money and take home. Now, the other thing about the POS system, I just want to go back to that one more time, is that it really helps you manage your products. And if something's not selling on your shelf, don't let it sit there and collect dust. Put it in a basket, discount it by 50%, and get rid of it, so you can put something else on the shelf that will sell well. Because having the items that are dead on the shelf does you no good at all, especially if you have a limited space and you have a small store. So if you look at your POS and you see your sales report and you see what's selling and things that aren't selling, move it out, get rid of it, and bring in items that will sell, because those things that sell generate more cash flow for you and more profit. And the other thing too is these soda companies will come to you and they will say, you know, if you buy 2 pallets, you'll get this kind of discount. Oh, that's a great discount. All right, I'll buy 2 pallets. And you end up with all this inventory. That's cash sitting back in the back room. If it takes you a month, 2 months to move that inventory, you're not making the profit they said you were going to make, because you're not turning it fast enough. Sometimes you're better off not buying as much, maybe not getting the deep discount that they're offering you, and turning your money and being able to use that money to buy other things. So be careful when these soda companies and other companies come to you to buy big quantities, because if that big quantity is sitting in the back room too long, you're actually losing money. I think that it's really important to understand that the various things that we talked about in this program, the signage, the displays, the merchandising, how people perceive your store, it's all about increasing your sales. And if you can focus on any one of those, of course, the more you can do, the more successful you will be. And I could talk here for 2 hours about one of these items, but we wanted to give you an overview, some key tips, some things that are important to think about. Maybe you can glean some ideas from what you heard in this program, and it will help you increase your sales, and in so doing, increase your profits, and in so doing, making you a very successful store. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it, and good luck and good work, and let's see some great stuff happening in your stores.